dancing, everyone. It's time. Raise that energy level up. All right. I got a great guest today, guys. I got my dear friend and sister, Miss Julie Shawano, and we're going to be talking about heart-based healing. So with further ado, rock that music there, Jules. Get that energy level up. Yeah, Debbie even did it the other day.
She's just getting her groove on.
Yeah. Hey, it's all about getting that energy level up, that positivity. I don't care how you do it, but let's sit right now. Real. All right. So I am so blessed to have my dear sister here, and for all of you, we've worked together for a number of years, and we've been together, and she's been to my home, and I know her kids, and I know her husband, and I adore her. And what it's time for her to do is to shine her light. And that's why I have her here today, because she is an amazing healer. So introduce yourself a little bit and pretend it's just me, because it really is just me right now. And well, Pip's talking in the background, but
Hey, Pip.
yeah. So tell me, okay, just imagine me, okay? Tell me, how did you get into healing? Like, you can talk about when we met or before we met or however you want to start, but tell people how you got into what you're doing.
Well, it started when I was a kid, actually. A friend, like my stepsister, her mom gave me a book by Linda Goodman, and it was called Star Signs, and it had a whole bunch of different esoteric knowledge down to, like, they used levitation to build the pyramids, or Nikola Tesla's purple plates, and I was like, what is all this stuff? Like, what's going on? And then so I delved into that pretty much in the 8th grade, so you're like 14 years old. And then also in the 8th grade, I went to a science fair, and they had crystals there, and that's when I bought my very first crystal, and I had that pretty much around my neck for the next 5-6 years. Never let it go. And then when I was about 19, somebody turned me on to a book called Celestine Prophecy. And so I started reading that, and then it talks about working with energy and how everything we interact with has energy, and how to build your energy bank account, and how certain things can drain your energy and lower your vibration. And I was like, what? This is a real thing? And then I also read another book by Diane Stein called Stroking the Python, Women's Psychic Lives. I think it's been renamed now. But that was women's journeys through the chakras. And as they were opening up their chakras and working with the energies of their chakras, they were developing different gifts. And I was like, what? We can do that? That's amazing. So between all of that kind of thing, it really kind of exploded everywhere. So I started using different techniques that I learned in Diane Stein's books, and like feeling energy and working with it. And then I would show it to a couple of friends, and they would think that was cool. And
well, while you were, I'm going to interrupt you, because while you were doing all that, could you feel changes within yourself too? And there's users and people watching us, and they're all saying hi. So hi, guys.
Hi.
Welcome to the show. Did you feel the changes going on you when you started like practicing and delving more into this?
Absolutely. Because there was a strong, my stepsisters had a strong goddess influence from their mother. So then I really started getting into that thing, and I started taking women's studies in college, and started exploring different lineages, and started taking anthropology courses, and realized that a lot of things were traced down through the women and in the older tribes and things like that before, like, the patriarchal systems took over. So all of this was just kind of culminating and coming together. And so then I could feel myself shifting. And so then when I was 19 years old, I was so enthralled with all of this that I was living in Calgary at the time, and I went outside and it was like a beautiful full moon, and I basically dedicated myself to service. I was on my knees, I was praying, and I asked to be of service to spirit in any way, shape, or form. I wanted to be a healer. I wanted to have access to these gifts. I wanted to be able to help people become who they could be. And in that, I also wanted to help myself because I was very shy, I was very self-conscious, and I was very small. And I wanted to be that bigger self that spirit brings out, right? And
well, you know, I think a lot of people, and it's interesting to me that you're saying like you're around 18, 19 when this is going on. I think that human evolution, like when we're born here and as we're growing, you know, our youth is like, you know, we go through all these things. But I feel really strongly that people that do the work you do, that I do, if they're accepting of it or wanting to understand it better, that's kind of the time that it's kind of like you said, it's like an awakening of it. And it's like you want more of an understanding of it. And so to me, it's very interesting that you're saying that.
Yeah, you absolutely thirst for more. You want to know more. You want to be part of this bigger picture rather than living in this small little self, right? Because we are all connected. And when you realize that you're connected to everything and everything is so expansive that you just really want to embrace that and be a part of it, right? So then I dabbled with different crystals and did different things. I had amazing experiences with healing with crystals when I was 19, and then that made me realize the power of the rock people. And then after that, I kind of dropped it for a little bit, right? I know.
My Sunstone. I was like, I didn't know. Yeah, see, I didn't know why. And I've got other crystals here, but I was told before you came on that I needed to have my Sunstone on. So, and this is one of the pieces I had created, and I haven't had it on for a while. I'm like, okay, I'll put it on. Julie's coming. The Sunstone wants to say hi. So, hi, Julie.
And so then when I was 19, I was working at a trade show in Vancouver, and I was wearing my crystal that I had worn for 5 years. And as luck would have it, as spirit would have it, this was a 21-day show. And it was 12 to 14 hours a day, and it was just me and my friend who were working the show. But as spirit would have it, I had a shaman and his wife, an aura reader, 3 booths down that I got to sit with for 21 days because the weeks were slow and the weekends were slammed, right? So
that's a long show. Wow. 21 days?
Well, it was a fair, right?
Wow. But that's still long.
Yeah. So he walked into my booth one day and he's like, wow, you've been through a lot. And I said, how do you know that? And he said, your crystal speaks volumes. And I'm like, really? And he's like, let me see your hand. And I said, okay. And he traced out this pattern on my hand. And he's like, you've known magic before. It's time you learn who you are. And I was like, what? And he took my hand, and I instantly burst into tears with the amount of energy coming off this man. And my coworker's looking at me like, what the heck, Julie? We've got clients in the booth. Why are you freaking out? And he's like, come on, let's go outside. And so then he took me outside and he taught me to work with the trees, and he taught me how to release my energy and emotions and traumas working with the tree spirits, and how to honor them and how to thank them and how to feel which ones wanted to work with me to have this transition. And that was one of the most powerful healing experiences I've ever had.
Trees, so, right? You said trees, right?
Trees.
So that's when you became a tree hugger, right?
Yeah.
And you've been a tree hugger. Okay, for everybody that doesn't know her personally, she's been a tree hugger for as long as I've known her. And that's been like at least, what, 10, 11 years now?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And so then I wanted to work with this man. So then he taught me how to journey. He taught me how to see the auras of the trees. He taught me how to work with different energy. And so he was one of my very first teachers. And then I jumped off my path and got mixed up in other things and just said, oh, you know, I'm full right now. I can't take any more in right now. And then a few years later, I went to another trade show, and it was a health show with the same product that I was doing. And I was very blessed to be beside a crystal bowl healer for 21 days. So I got to be surrounded by these amazing crystal bowls and music energy every single day for 21 years,
Vibrational,
for
yeah.
21 days, right? And then hop on to another show, and I was lucky enough to be right beside a pranic healer promoting pranic healing, who did work on me and everybody in the group, and it got me hooked on, like, you know, Twin Hearts meditation and Grandmaster Choa's teachings and things like that. And so then I took a course on that. And now we're talking probably about 25 years old, so all of that. And then I kind of jumped off my path again for a little bit, just because
we all do that. And
Yeah.
that's what I think people that are listening to this or tuning into this, even later on down the road, people that are, you know, that come to you or come to me or come to other people and say, you know, I want to learn this, I want to walk this path and stuff, you know, often we walk away from it.
Yeah.
Often
we're human too. We've got stuff going on.
Yeah, well, we've got stuff going on, and sometimes it's scary. I mean, that much power coming at you, that much energy coming at you, that much knowledge coming at you, if it clicks in your head,
yeah,
it can be overwhelmingly
there's
scary.
a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of worthiness issues. What do you mean? How am I worthy of this? How can I be the one to share this with the world? How can I be the one to be a channel for spirit? I don't understand, because it's not us doing the work, everybody. Like, it's not. You know, we're open to spirit to help you.
And it's not for everybody. Just because
No.
you have a gift, just because you can tap into it, it's free choice to either activate it and use it or not. And it's okay if you don't want to use it. I think that's where a lot of people get caught up too. And I know you walked away from it. I walked away from it many times in my life. And it's like, it's a big responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there were times in my life I wasn't ready for that kind of responsibility. I don't know about you, but I mean, I just, you know, and then you get to a point in your life like you are now, and I am now, and it's like, because we've been dabbling in this all our life, and by dabbling, I mean we go learn, then we walk away, we go learn, we walk away, we go learn, we walk away, but the gift doesn't go away, right?
Right.
So we're dabbling in it, and then Spirit says, okay, we're done. No more dabbling. You're done. You're either in it or you're out of it.
Yeah.
And they pick us up and plop us back down on that path. And that's where both of us are right now. So I love that. So go ahead. I just had to interject that.
So I hopped off my path for quite a few years, and had quite a few lovely life experiences, because every experience that we have is a lesson, is a teacher, is a whatever you want to take it. You know, you grow from it.
Yep.
And then probably 2009, I met you, and that's when I hopped back on. And we were in class together for years. And
that was a whirlwind too.
Yeah.
That was just a whirlwind of stuff. Yeah. Just a whirlwind.
There was great people that we surrounded ourselves with, and we made some really amazing connections. We had a lot of amazing group work that we did together, and healing work that we did on each other and on people overseas, you know, and we were blessed to be able to have that experience, that we know that energy work and working with people doesn't need to be face-to-face. It doesn't need to be right in front of you. It's all about intention, and it's all about healing and sending it where it needs to go, right? And just had a lot of ups and downs. During that time, I also took a year-long holistic life coaching course that helped me clear up my emotional landscape, because I wasn't a very happy person at that time. I was going through a lot of personal issues, and I needed to fix myself. I needed to empower myself, because I was at a point in my life where I hated myself. I absolutely hated who I was. I didn't want to be here.
Do you feel that, and you know, over the years, I'm a little older than you, but do you feel sometimes that healers are people that are broken in many ways? We heal. I'm not saying we don't, because we do, and then we move forward. But I almost feel like healers are almost meant to be broken to be able to pick themselves up and heal, so that they can work with other people.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Or
Totally makes sense. If your life has been wine and roses, you don't know how to help somebody else pick up the pieces because you've never been there. You've never walked down that road. So it's really hard to empathize with somebody. And that's why there's so many amazing healers, because everybody's journey is different. So what I might be able to help somebody with is something that you might not be able to help somebody with, because we've had a different path. And that's why different people are drawn to different healers. And that's why different people get different results with different healers, because we all have our own personal experiences that help us relay to the client, to each other, to our spouses, to our friends, to our family. Right? And without those experiences, we wouldn't be able to move forward and learn those lessons. And that's why we are so broken. But like you said, we're able to, Spirit teaches us how to pick ourselves up, or they bring us friends or family or loved ones or teachers to help us pick ourselves up and move forward.
Well, one of the amazing things that I love about you is the manner that you do healing work. And it's different than I do it. Okay. Because again, we're talking about, and people watching this, it's very important to understand that there's no right way to heal it or one wrong way to do it. If it's with positive intention and good intention, it's what works for you. And Julie, when she was working with our group, and we were working with a group with Walks with Thunder at the time, and kudos, because he taught us a lot of life lessons in that class. And one of the biggest things he taught me was to have self-confidence, which you were just talking about as well.
100%.
But one of the things, Julie does healing in a different way, and it's a very amazing way. And I remember when you first did it in group, and I'm like, what is she doing? And I'm like, okay. And it's like, wow, this really works. So it's like, put the glitter on, use the hose and spray, so
it's practicality.
Tell them a little bit. And I'm not making fun of it. It's a way that you were able to bring about. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Debbie. We're about to bring about your strongest self, to empower yourself to do the healing work. And again, so tell them kind of your thing that you did. I mean, I thought it was great. It still is great.
Well, I mean, every client, as you know, is different. Every technique that Spirit shows is different. So in that particular group, we were working on, I believe, cancer spirits. And our client, in my view, had a lot of darkness around her. And the easiest way Spirit told me the easiest way to get it off is to hose it off. Fire hose that white light energy, spray it all down. There's a drain at the bottom of her feet. See it all going down and just clean her up, because she needs that deep, deep cleansing, and it needs to be blasted off. You can sit there and you can sweep all you want. You can take it away all you want, but that's going to take too long. Fire hose that sucker off. I'm like, okay. And when I was working on another gentleman with cancer, he had issues with his lungs and he couldn't breathe, and he was on his last legs. And he asked for a healing session. And so Spirit shows me the strangest things. They showed me putting a straw into his lungs and sucking out all the gunk, just like literally siphoning it all out.
And we're not, okay, just so people that might be just tuning in, we're not literally hosing people down. We're not literally putting a straw in somebody's chest. But what we create, Spirit creates for us, because when we connect with Spirit, obviously some people can't see Spirit or can't see things how we see it. And it's like in another dimension. And I will say it, I feel that we're kind of connected interdimensionally. Mm-hmm. So our soul's energy, our spirit energy is going to do work on other people, correct? Is this how you're, okay. So we're kind of in this other dimension. So we're actually doing the work there, and we're actually doing like what Julie's saying. And that's how she's processing the work she's doing, but it's not in the physical, it's in the spiritual. But we connect and the patients can feel it. And that's, to me, what is so amazing and connecting about doing the kind of work that you do.
this particular person, when I did that, then they had me bring his body into this massive pool of water. And so I walked into this water, and you guys must think I'm crazy, but I walked into this water chest deep, and the water was full of quartz crystals. And what I saw Spirit doing was all this piezoelectricity from all these quartz crystals in this water being activated, because we're water-based beings as well, was just so purifying and so cleaning him out on such a level that I couldn't even fathom what was going on. But I was so overwhelmed with what was going on that I actually started tearing up and getting emotional and crying with the amount of energy that was passing through me to this gentleman. Like, it was just the most phenomenal feeling I've ever had. And mind you, I've never met this gentleman. I've never even talked to him. It was a Facebook conversation. He was in Arizona, and that's how that happened. Okay.
But it doesn't matter.
No.
And that's what people have to understand. We have such an ability to be able to connect to other people on, again, an interdimensional way. And I don't mean get the foil hats out. This is something that goes back, and like you said in the beginning here, with archaeology classes and stuff you're taking, this dates back centuries.
Yeah.
You know, this is stuff that the Mayan people were doing, the Egyptian people were doing, the Druids were doing. And it's a science, and it's to this day, people in the Amazons, the tribes that are in the Amazons that don't get contact with humans in civilization, they're still doing to this day. So there's got to be something that is real about it that works, right?
Well, it's said that all illness manifests in the spirit realm first, right? Because what people don't think about every day is that thoughts are things, okay? And every time you have a thought, you give it more and more physical density. And that is how, then you finally bring it down into physical density. So think about all these amazing inventions. These people had to think about them day in, day out. They had to ponder, okay, if I put this here, if I put this here, if I do that there. And then they were able to bring it into physical creation, okay? So that also happens with us on a physical body level. So if we are thinking negative thoughts, angry thoughts, sad thoughts, eventually these thoughts have no choice but to manifest in physical density, right?
That's what we tell people. How many of these gurus that are out there now, it's like, manifest your dreams, if you put positives out, no matter what it is, if your thought process, like what you're saying, if your thought process is, I want to heal, I want to become whole physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever it is, yeah, you can manifest that. But if you keep putting out negatives, like I'm sick, I don't feel good, you know, I'm in so much pain, it builds. Like, almost like what my ghost hunting people would say, it's almost like a poltergeist in our own body, right?
Absolutely, 100%. Your body is so intuitive, and your body listens so well. I mean, if you think about all of the functions that your body does for you on a daily basis without you having to do it, okay, without you even having to think about it, you breathe, you process everything in your body. Now, when you are thinking, you're programming your body. You're telling your body what it is you want it to do. So if you're saying, oh my God, my life sucks, I'm in so much pain, and I get it, pain is a real thing, absolutely 100%, okay? Pain is such a real thing. But perceptions can change. And when your perceptions change about pain, then you're not in as much pain. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to interject something Debbie Bailey said on Monday, and it was like a light bulb went off in my head. Like, our bodies are, like you were saying, with all the different things that it does, you know, the different organs and everything. She goes, it's like the cells are like a community. It's like the cells are like a country, and we're ruling up here over the country. So we have to, and there's all these little communities in there, you know, your cardiac and your lymphatic system and your digestive system and your skeletal system. So we have to rule all over that. So like you said, you have to manifest, you have to put out positive things to keep that country in line, so to speak, you know?
Yeah, and I think, like, for me personally, I think there's two parts of that. I mean, you can think all the positive thoughts that you want, and which is amazing, but if you have a subconscious programming that is telling you that No, you don't deserve that. No, your dad said no. No, your inner critic's saying, you're not a writer, you're not a speaker, you're not important enough. It's really, really hard to override your subconscious programming if you don't acknowledge that it's there. And if you don't acknowledge that it's there, you can't heal it. And if you can't heal it, then it's going to sabotage every time you try to attract something positive into your life.
You have to almost like reprogram it, like take the chip out of the computer and put a new one in so that the cycle changes, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And when you do that, you change your energy body. So it's all hand in hand, right? Like there was this article I was reading in Psychology Today, and it was talking about a man who was on the job site, and he was a construction worker, and he saw a nail gun go right through his foot, and he's like, oh my God, I'm in so much pain, I gotta go. So everybody's like, yeah, whisk you off to the hospital, let's go. And he's freaking out and screaming. When it came time for him to get treated, it missed his foot completely. It went right through his toes. There was no blood. There was no scratch. There was no nothing. That is the power of the mind. That is how much anxiety and pain we can cause ourselves with our thoughts.
Anxiety is very destructive. Anxiety is very destructive. I think it's probably one of the most destructive things because it'll create depression. It'll create illness. It can create things that we do, like somebody that has anxiety might sit and pull their hair, you know, or like scratch or do different things, you know, or not eat properly or whatever. So yeah, we have anxiety, I think, is one of the biggest hurdles as humans we have to get over.
Absolutely. I don't know if you remember when we were working on our friend in Germany, we were able to see the cancer spirits. Remember?
Yeah.
What people need to realize is that when we say that thoughts are things, so are these little anxieties and depressions. They're little etheric beings, basically, that go into your auric field that help you hinder you from feeling who you really are. They help you to feel this anxious. They help you to feel this depression. They help you to feel less than, okay? And when you start meditating or when you start hanging around different people, when you start shifting your environment, whether it's meditating or reading or being outside in nature more or hanging out with a different group of people whose vibration is higher, these things have less power. And you start to heal and you start to feel better.
Your endorphin level raises.
Yeah.
Your endorphin level. Now, the other thing, and because you brought, and I can say her name because Michael, her husband, had given us permission. Iris was in Germany at the time, and God, they were beautiful, beautiful people. And one of the things, and I'm going to bring this up because, again, it's really interesting that Debbie, Janet yesterday, and now you bring different things that kind of link together. So it's like that same wavelength. But when we do healing work, it's always not about illness in a way that we're going to cure something. Sometimes it's about the transition of healing. And healing, this particular patient that we're speaking about right now, it was about getting her to a place of healing so she could transition. Yes. And sometimes that's the work that we do as well. And we have to remember, and Janet and I were talking yesterday, people don't like to talk about that. It's like they want miracle cures, like we're going to heal and, you know, I pray, you know, praise the powers that be, you know, we're going to bring that healing light. And I'm not saying that it can't happen, but sometimes because we neglect things in our own bodies, in our own lives, it gets to a point where, again, the healing is more about the spiritual healing than it is the physical.
Absolutely. Yeah. Remember that gentleman I was talking about that I worked with in Arizona for the cancer treatment? I mean, we knew that he was on his way out. So what the session did for him was to give him that last bit of peace. He hadn't been out of bed in weeks. And the next morning, he was able to go and take what would be his final walk in the hills in Sedona. And that was his piece. That's what that was for.
And that's okay. And that's what I think people need to understand, that we may leave our physical, but our energy and our soul's energy, and this is my belief, and I know there's people out there that are atheists or don't believe in like life after our human, but working with spirit like you do and myself, I know there is, and I've seen proof of it, and I've heard with my own ears proof of it. So yes, we leave this body, but we go into the next level, the next dimension of it, the next part of our life. So for us to transition is extremely important that we do that as well in a healthy way, so that when we continue to the other side, we're at a healthy start or a beginning. Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what are you currently working on? What's the new? And I know we're all in lockdown, so you're home with the kids and mom, and the husband is working hard and doing his stuff too. So how has this been with your working with patients and stuff?
Well,
I know you have people. She's in Canada.
yes.
Right? So if you're up in Canada, once all this stuff stops, get a hold of her if you need work, because she does a fantastic job. She's got a great practice.
Well, my day job is a registered massage therapist. That's another thing I went to school for. But some of the other training that I had in 2009 and 2010 was that holistic life coaching course I was talking about, but then also EFT. And for people that don't know what that is, it's emotional freedom technique. It's tapping. Its more informal name is tapping. Okay. And when we talked about emotions and thoughts or things, every different energy meridian in the body, okay, and according to traditional Chinese medicine, there are 12 main ones, and every different meridian in the body houses a different emotion. So what you do with tapping is you're tapping on different points on the meridians to help you release different emotions. So I've been busy helping people basically deal with their stuff, and I've been dealing with my stuff. And I've been meditating a lot more, and I've been reading a lot more, and I've been doing personal healing a lot more. I've been offering healing long distance since I've been doing this. And every healing session is different. Like I have clients that come in just for the EFT and the life coaching. I have some clients that come in with physical maladies, and you never really know what you're going to get. And I never really know what one session is going to entail. Sometimes I use
often what we may have going in, if we do form preconceived notions, it's nothing like what we thought it was going to be. Ever. Spirit just you don't have a plan with spirit.
You're the human channel. We know what we need to do.
Yeah.
So, and it might encompass all in one. So when people are in my space, I have my Tibetan bowls and I have my crystals, and sometimes there's card reads, and then sometimes it's straight up energy work. Sometimes it's mirror work. Sometimes it's self-talk work. Sometimes it's life coaching work. Sometimes it's all of it. You just never know what's going to happen. And it's not up to me. It's up to you and what you need. And spirit, exactly. So
if people don't think spirit steps into our lives and can run the show,
yeah,
I'm going to tell you all a little secret, because tomorrow we don't have a show and nobody knows this because I haven't put it out yet. Miss Lizzie Starr will be joining me next week. I did tell you before the show.
Yeah.
What I didn't tell you is when I called her to ask her if she'd do the show, it was only going to be a quick call, wound up being like a half hour, 40 minutes. And I got a reading of a lifetime. It was a magical but very unexpected thing. And she's never read me this way. And I've known Lizzie for years. She's known me. She's been to our home. We've spent time together, and she's like my older sister. No, I'm sorry. She's my younger sister, and her husband, Sean, is like my brother. But she was ready to go. We were ready to hang up, and spirit was like, She says, wait a minute. And I'm like, what? She goes, your family, and oh my gosh, you got like a party going on here. So, I mean, you can never plan when spirit is involved. That's just that, and I'm sticking with it. I'm just sticking with
it. 100%. I agree.
And the only time, and you can deny it, but when spirit wants us to do something, or if we ask spirit something and we don't want to listen to them because we don't like what they're telling us and we try to ignore it, they will kick our butts.
They will put you on your ass. Not just kick your butts, they will put you on your ass. I can't even tell you how many times I've been put on my ass for, I've kept getting messages. Slow down, Julie. Slow down, Julie. Slow down, Julie. You're doing too much, Julie. Yeah, I know. Just Julie, go, 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 go. Do my thing. And then boom, fall down 17 stairs backwards and get laid up for like months. Or boom, get into a car accident, total the car, get laid up for like 10, 15 days. I'm like, okay.
Or boom, get put into a pandemic and you're locked down in the house.
Right? On a global scale. Yes. Absolutely. It's spirit swift kick in the ass. You need to do your inner work. You need to go inside. You need to look at your stuff. And we're going to put you in a place with no distractions because you don't have your sporting events. You don't have your summer picnics. You don't have this. You don't have that. And all you have is you and yourself in your own little house.
You can't get away from it. I don't care how you put it, what you say. You can't get away from it. There's just no getting away from it. Okay, now I have a question for you, and I already kind of know the answer, but I'm going to let people listen to what you say. The gift that you have, okay, runs, I believe, in family lines. And I know this continues on into your children. So how do you deal with, because you're learning, how are you teaching them? Or is it like as they go, as they bring stuff to you? How are you dealing with that with the kids? And the kids are, tell them what ages your kids are.
My children right now are 13 and 11. My son will be 12 in a short period of time. And they're both very intuitive. My daughter is extremely empathetic. They're both extremely psychic. They see things, they hear things, they know how to, but over the years, we've never closed down their gifts. I mean, I remember we had a class where you and I were trying to do something and capture spirit orbs on film. And
yeah, I remember that.
And that particular night, I went out to a graveyard and I asked spirit to show themselves. And what I didn't ask them was to stay there. When I got in my car light started flickering, and I'm like, really, a fuse? That's weird. Okay, whatever. So then I go home, and my daughter she's probably about 4 at that time, 5.5, and my son's about 2. And I, just say my prayers, go to sleep, do my thing. And then when I'm sleeping, all of a sudden I hear my daughter start whimpering. And I'm like, baby, what's wrong? And she's like, I'm going to go sleep on the couch. And I'm like, why? She goes, I just want to go there. I'm like, okay. She's never done that in her life. So she goes out and she goes to sleep on the couch, and I cover her up and I tuck her in and I go back to my room. And then she starts crying on the couch. And I'm like, baby, what is it? And she's like, he won't leave me alone. I just want to sleep. And I'm like, uh-oh, who won't leave you alone? And she's like, the little boy, Mom, he won't leave me alone. And I'm like, what little boy? He goes, can't you see him, Mom? He's right there in the door. I'm like, I can't see him, love. I'm sorry. And she goes, tell him I just want to sleep, Mom. And so, I talk to the spirit, and I'm like, okay, honey, like, I know you want to play, and I know you want to hang out with my daughter, but she doesn't want to play right now, and she doesn't want you around. And I said, honey, is he gone? She's like, no. And I'm like, okay. So then I said, well, what we need to do is we need to call in Archangel Michael, and we need to ask him to take this boy home, because his family is waiting for him. Whoever his family is waiting for him in the light. So then I had her repeat, because he was here to play with her. I had her repeat the prayer after me, right? Her intention to call in Michael and escort this child back to the light. And then when and I said, is he gone? And she said, yeah, Mommy, he's gone. And I said, okay, well, do you want to come and sleep with me? And she's like, yeah. And I said, okay. So we went back into my room and we climbed in bed, and she looked at me. She's like, Mommy, he was dead. And I said, how do you know that? She goes, because he told me. And I'm like, okay. And we'd never had anyone in the family die before, a pet, a parent, a grandparent, nothing. She didn't know the concept of death yet, at least from what I had
So
taught her.
note to self, when you go to cemeteries, make sure you tell everybody no hitchhikers, right?
Right? Yes, no hitchhikers. So, you know, and that wasn't the first time. So, you know, when my grandmother passed away, and she's like, don't be sad, Nanny's right here. And we're like, what do you mean Nanny's right here? She's like, we know she'll always be in our heart. No, no, no. She's like right here. She's telling you not to worry. She's telling you that she's with your dad, my mom's dad, and that they've made up on the other side because they were combatant at points, and that everything's okay and everybody's okay. And I was like, okay, cool. And then, you know, my son has many, many gifts as well. He's a seer and he's a feeler, but he's also a great, great thinker. And so he's able to tie all of these things together, and he asks a lot of questions. But ever since they were little, I have so many crystals, and they have known how to work with crystals, and they say, Mommy, I want to go sleep with this one. Mommy, what does this one do? Mommy, I need this one today. And so they've learned to do that and go with their intuition on what they need. Through the years on various injuries, we've worked strictly with energy healing. Like there's this one time where Caitlin crashed down off of a jungle gym system, and she gnashed all of her teeth. And I had to go pick her up at a birthday party, and I had my mother and one of my best friends there, and I said, you guys, she's in so much pain right now, and you'll remember this, Bear. I said, we all need to focus on her. And so they're like, well, we don't know what to do. And I said, just send her golden energy. Just envision the roots of her teeth golden, because I didn't want them to fall out and decay from dead root, right? Envision those roots nice and strong. Envision those gums nice and healthy. That kid, she didn't need any pain relievers. She didn't need anything. And within hours, her gums had firmed up. And later that night, she was able to eat. So, I mean, it's an amazing thing.
Well, and the other thing with your two kids, they're very different. And they share gifts, but they are strong. Each one is stronger with one than the other, even though they have share the same gifts, but they approach them very differently too. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the most important thing when you're working with your children is to not invalidate them. Okay. When they come into the room and you've had a fight with your parent, you've had a fight with your spouse, you've had a fight with your brother or sister, and they say, Mommy, Daddy, are you okay? What's wrong? Oh, nothing, honey, I'm fine. That immediately invalidates their inner knowing. That immediately invalidates their intuition. They are taught from that moment that, oh, okay, I thought something was wrong. My inside told me something was wrong, but I guess it's not. So I don't listen to that voice because it's not right.
Well, we have to restructure, because that's what society does. And that's why, you know, I had this question yesterday somewhere. Somebody asked me, well, can kids see things? And I'm like, oh, yes. I worked at Children's Hospital. They can see more and heal themselves more and have a better understanding of what's going on than adults do. But it's because the adults don't want to admit truths, like you're saying. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to share it. It's like, if we don't speak about it, it doesn't exist.
Yes. So rather than saying nothing's wrong, honey, say, yeah, honey, Mommy had a little bit of an upset, but it's okay. I'm handling it. So you validate them, but you don't have to give them all the nitty gritty dirt and information. You just validate their intuition, and that's it. Right?
Hi, Kristen. Kristen just popped on, so say hi to Kristen too. Lizzie's here. Kristen's here. They're all here, so hi.
Hi. So it's about validating them and empowering them. And, you know, if they say that they remember their past life, they do. You know?
Well, and that's a whole nother thing too. You know, people, and there's, again, it's a belief system, I get, and I do get it, but there have been too many instances, very public instances, where people have remembered not even people, it's children, kids that have remembered details of past life issues and past life happenings that they would have no idea what it was. So to me, Yeah, I do believe. And, my favorite thing, and, I always tell you this, is I'm done. I'm too old for this anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. This is it. The last show for me, the last showing. So, yeah, past lives, you have to honor that with kids if it comes up.
Absolutely. There's a story of this little boy, and he kept telling his parents, I want to go home. I need to go home. And they're like, well, what do you mean go home? This is your home. And then he's like, no, no, I need to go home. And he named some town in England, and he wouldn't let it go, would not let it go. So they saved their money and they took their family vacation to this town in England. And he was able to navigate around the entire town. He was able to say, this is where my sister lived, and that woman still lived there. Okay, so they knocked on the door and they set up a meeting and they were able to meet. And he told her about a family painting that only him and her knew. He also served in the war. And so when they found this out, they're like, well, what else do you remember? And he remembered serving in the war. He remembered the unit. He remembered the people. They gathered the people. They checked it out. Then they gathered the remaining survivors. He sat down with them and he told them each one of their nicknames. How can you not think that something like that is real?
Well, then he gave peace to his sister too, because if I remember that case correctly, he actually told them, I think wasn't he a pilot? And yeah. He died and he told them how it happened, but he also was there basically for his sister because she mourned that because for so long, because they had been so tight, like you were saying, and it gave her peace. And once they all accepted it, if I recall correctly, I think the child just kept on them with this life. He let all that go. It was like stuffed baggage that he was carrying forward into this life that he had to let go. And this was a small child. This wasn't an old child either.
Yeah.
Wasn't he like 7 or 6 or 7, something like that?
I was thinking about 6, yeah. And I remember he was even drawing. And the reason that the parents, they were shocked by the pictures that he was drawing because he was drawing images of his fiery crash, and he was talking about the plane that he crashed in. And there's no way he could have had knowledge of this type of a plane. That was decades before he was born.
Yeah, so. There's so much more that we don't know. And, with all the studies you've had, with all the things I've done, we're not even scratching the surface of what's out there. And what we can literally tap into heal.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about the healing work you do, the heart-based healing.
Well, from all the different modalities that I've studied, the common thread is that everything comes from love. Everything comes from the heart. When you're thinking about whether it's Reiki or shamanism or EFT or life coaching or whatever it is, the common thread is that you have to have an open heart, because without that open heart, you cannot be an open and clear channel to heal. Right? And you have to send that love and that open heart energy to another person, because when that person has an open heart and they realize that they are loved, then they heal. So, it's hate begets hate, and love heals. And that's basically all there is. The tools, the tips, the modalities, they're all secondary. The core is love. And that's my belief anyway.
The heart-based healing, I know you do like a lot of meditation. How beneficial is that to people? And, sometimes I tell people, even if you take 5 or 10 minutes a day and just go sit by yourself and just kind of like shut off the white noise and chaos that's around you. But what kind of meditations do you recommend, people do, like, especially now during being in the situations the world is in right now? We're kind of in lockdown and it's kind of about self-care mode and stuff. What kind of meditations, or how long should they meditate a day?
Well, everybody is different. So for me personally, I do a lot of different meditations. I do chakra clearing meditations. I do something that's called a Twin Hearts meditation, and that was taught to the world by one of my teachers, Grandmaster Cho Koksui, and that works with opening the two hearts. It talks about opening the crown, which is your spiritual love for humanity, and then it talks about opening your heart, which is your personal love for your friends, your family, and yourself. And so what he does is he bridges those two together using the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi, and then sends that love out to the world. So it's
my buddy,
empowering, right? So it's an amazing technique. But for those of you that are just starting, the way that I started to meditate was with a candle. And I had a dimly lit room. And because we're supposed to not think or watch our thoughts flit in and out, I needed a focal point. So I had the flame of the candle in the afterlight image in the third eye, right? And I would focus on that after image. And as it would start to fade, I would know that my thoughts were coming in. So then I would gently open my eyes, and then I would focus on that candle again, watch that candle again, and then it would fade. And you can start out for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But the most important thing is to get that quiet, to get that piece of yourself, to get to connect, because we're so busy being bombarded with information from everywhere, from our media, from our television, from our friends, from our family, from our children, and even from our subconscious. And we need time to process it all. And that's a lot of things, like when we can't sleep at night, that's because that's the only time our mind is quieting down, so everything goes da, 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 da. So if we give it that time and space to do during the day, or an hour before bed or something like that, you're not going to have as much mind chatter at night when you're trying to rest.
Because well, that's a big thing too, because people often say, you know, I have wild dreams, or I have, you know, people that I know that have passed that come to me in my dreams. And that's because once we do get asleep, our guards go down. Everything's open. And like you said, even that heart space is open at that time. So they're able to communicate with us. You're able to get knowledge downloaded to you. You're able to relax, but you've got to get yourself to that state. So it's really super important. And I know there's a lot of people out there that say, I can't meditate. I just can't. I can't meditate. What do you say to clients or people that come to you like that?
Then try somebody leading you through a meditation. If you can't get the quiet in yourself, then listen to somebody else guide you to wherever it is they want to take you. Whether sometimes the guided meditation will take you to a peaceful beach and you just sit there, and then they play ocean music and you focus on the ocean waves.
Sometimes, to an ice cream truck? Can I have it take me to an ice cream?
Well, you know, that might be a little bit more distracting, but you know, so it's, you know, there's lots of beautiful, YouTube has 3-hour playlists of meditation music, and, you know, you put your favorite incense on or smudge before or something to clear yourself.
Explain smudge. Explain smudge. You said it. Not everybody's going to know what smudge is. Explain smudge.
Well, it's basically when you are lighting whatever you're going to put in your smudge. So for me, I use white sage, tobacco, and sweetgrass, and I light it. And when I light it and let it burn for a little bit and then blow it out and then have this smoke coming out, and then you basically take the smoke and you wash yourself over it. And it's basically washing your auric field. It's washing your energy body. It's cleansing everything away. What I learned from one of my teachers very recently was the reason that we use sage is because it has, if you look at it through the auric field or through the energy vibrations, the color that sage has is blue for spirit communication, and green for healing, and it also gives off violet for clear connection.
Oh wow! Well, I do know that it is been scientifically proven that white sage cleanses like your field, like right? It cleanses your senses. It cleans off. I call it the black ook of the world, the right? Negative stuff, or if you've come in contact with negative people that day. It just makes you feel better, you know, and it's white sage that's used, not like cooking sage. It's white sage.
Yes. Yeah. So whatever you're going to do to purify your body, and then calm your mind. So if you have, like, say, a favorite incense like sandalwood. Sandalwood has been used to break up dense and negative energy that's been accumulating. Apparently it gives off an orange prana, which, again, I didn't know. I just learned that from one of my teachers, but that's why they use it in the churches, and that's why they purify the aisles for spirit to come through. So I found that
Yeah,
very
but if you ask them about that, they're not going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you that the original reason for that was to bring spirit through. Holy crow, they'll throw holy water on you and praise God and pray for you, baby. Oh, yeah, you don't want to say that in the church. Holy
well,
crow.
I mean, I don't mean to step on anybody's toes. That's
No,
not my
I know, and I'm teasing too. I mean,
yeah.
you know, I was born and raised Catholic, so I will say that, okay, because that is like, they may say it privately to you if you're friends with one of them, like one of the priests that I knew growing up. I had some amazing men that were in my life as priests and counselors. But if you went into a public space, oh, heck no. Get the holy water out, baby. You're possessed. I'm sorry for anybody listening that's Catholic or religious. I'm sorry, but yeah. And I love them all. And I believe me, like I said, these men, I was so blessed to have them. They were great teachers in my life, you know. And you know, people say, "Oh, the Catholic Church is," and the church isn't about the people that are individuals that were in it. And I was very blessed to have very positive people that I was in it. So yeah, it's not saying that, but yeah, no. Things have changed since the early days. Okay, I'm sorry. I just had to do that.
Well, I mean, so if we go back to meditation, I mean, one of the things that I do is, or that you can do is, we talked about listening to a guided meditation. We talked about smudging and clearing yourself before meditation. We talked about the candle. But another thing you can do is start to notice the small gifts in life. So if you are outside and you feel the wind on your face, to me, that's very meditative. If you notice the flowers giving off a fragrance, that's very meditative because it's bringing you to your present moment. It's cutting out the mind chatter because you're appreciating and loving and attending to what is directly in front of you.
Okay, well, believe it or not, we're almost through a complete hour. I can't believe the time went by so quick. See how easy this was, and you were all worried about it.
Yeah, kind of like this. I was a little bit nervous. So.
Yay, piece of cake, right? Okay, so if people want to get hold of Julie, she's in the process right now with her .com. We'll post that in group later, and in 2 weeks, because next week is my spiritually paranormal week, and following week we'll be back to keeping it real, and Julie will be here again with us. So if you want to get hold of her, you can get hold of her here in group on Facebook, and then, like I said, eventually her .com will be up and running, and she'll be able to put up there. I'm sure she'll have all what she does and how she does it and all that good stuff. Anything else you want to say to everybody before we take off?
No, just thank you for tuning in, and I hope this was helpful, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Well, thank you, Julie, for coming. I really appreciate it, sister. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for pushing me.
Yeah, not me. It's spirit, and I get tired of hearing them, and so does everybody else that you know and love. Okay. All right. I love you. Love to the kids and the family. Okay. All right, everyone. That's it. It's a wrap up for this week. It's been a great week. I am so pleased with the amazing people we've had this week. I hope it's been informative for you all. And God bless, and keep it real, guys. That's what we're trying to do. And make sure to tune in next week. We're going to be here again, but it's going to be spiritually paranormal, and I have some great mediums coming in, and we're actually going to be doing our paranormal experiment, Ryan Griffiths and myself, next Thursday. And then Friday, Miss Lizzie Starr is going to be here, and that's going to be an amazing time too. Us getting back together to stream some information. Okay. All right, guys, you take care. Oh, I forgot the amazing Nick Fox is going to be on next Wednesday. So Nick Fox, all the way from down under over in Australia. So, okay, guys, till next week. Okay. Bear out. Love y'all.